Where we are at the moment is that compared to the 1990s, there are about half as many people coming across the border as there were at that point, just a bit of context. Secondly, you'll remember the 2,500 families who were separated, kids who were taken away from their parents, 290 of them brought to New York, actually. 2,000 of those are still separated. And the most difficult cases, the government, the administration here has deported the parents already across the border back to South or Central America. And so there's a real chronic problem for the government there in explaining how on earth are they going to reunite these families. We know from our work around the world, because as well as being a refugee agency in the US, we do humanitarian work around the world, where reunifying families is the first thing you do, because for a traumatized kid, the first thing they need in a refugee situation is actually be with their parents. It's worse than ironic. It's tragic, really, that it should be here that those families should be forcibly separated.
There are 2,000 children that are still separated.
Yeah.
How quickly do you think they'll be reunited, and what are you guys doing?
Well, I think we work with the foster families that deal with unaccompanied children, so not children who are separated from their families, but kids who are coming across here without any family members. I think there are some easy cases amongst the 2,000 where the parents are known, where the kids are able to speak, or of 10 or 15 years old, they can be reunited. The youngest kids, who obviously can't speak, don't know their names, the parents who are not here, that's a long-term problem that I don't see an immediate resolution to at all.
Those children, I'm sorry to be, if this is an ignorant question, but the children who come across the border, come to the border, and they don't have family members, are they coming as a refugee? And
that's a great question.
What are they fleeing?
They're fleeing from gang violence, from persecution, real
So presumably conflict. The parents are sending them, they're saying, go across the border and see.
Some are, some may be here, of course.
Right.
And so the important point that we make always is, look, some of these people will be refugees, and some of them won't. Some of them will be coming here, maybe coming here for economic reasons. It's the same in Germany, it's the same elsewhere. And the important point is that every case gets properly dealt with, so you can sort out.
So here's my question, though.
And it's simple. If you're safe to go home.
If you were the king for the day, though, what would you do? How would you create, what kind of immigration policy would you have? What would you do to disincentivize, to some degree, you have to figure out a way to disincentivize people coming strictly for economic reasons, right?
Look, the biggest thing you've got to do is run the system so that each case is dealt with quickly. In the US now, it's taking 286 days to deal with a case. The Germans had 1.5 million people arrive in 2015-16. They've got the processing time down to 8 weeks. If you can say to people, we will give you a proper assessment of whether or not you're a refugee. If you're not, you can't stay. If you are, you can. Then that's the biggest difference that a government can make. Now,
you've been coming on for years, and has it gotten tougher?
Am I looking that old? I'm sorry.
No, your job's gotten tougher. And there are, I mean, I saw some comments from one of the leaders in Poland about how they've managed to enforce their borders.
They've taken very few there. Look,
yeah, and Hungary is, and I was just there, and it's setting itself up as a model for how you should protect your border and the benefits of sort of going against what other European. I mean, it just seems like your job has gotten harder because and you look at some of the elections and what's happening. I mean, this national. No,
you're making I started here in 2014.
Must be much harder for you.
Yeah, you're making a great point. I started in a relatively benign political climate. Both political parties in America have always welcomed refugees. Now we're running into real polarization. Here's what I tell you. People say to me, how hard is it to run an agency helping the most vulnerable people in the world at a time of backlash against them?
Exactly.
And I always say, look, that's not the right diagnosis. Yes, it's polarized, but for every American who says, I don't want a refugee, I'm afraid of a Syrian, I don't like this Ethiopian, there's someone else who'll say, hang on, that's my family, that's my workmate, that's our history. And actually, we see a real mobilization. And the important thing is that I say to you, not as someone in politics, but someone as an expert witness about what's going on around the world and in the US in the refugee system, is this is a manageable problem, not an insoluble one. And 1 in every 110 people on the planet has been forced from their home by politics and violence. That means 109 out of 110 haven't. And we can deal with this problem.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.